Right now, this summer, the single biggest sporting event on planet Earth is playing out across the United States, the 2026 World Cup. And the projections are staggering. Organizers expect it to pump around $17 billion into the U.S. economy, plus 185,000 jobs. Your city fought to host this. They promised it would be a gold mine. But here's the question nobody puts on the highlight reel. When the confetti settles, where does all that money actually go? Quick, important note before we go further. The tournament is happening right now, so every big number here is a projection, an estimate, not a final score. And here's the twist those estimates hide. The World Cup really is making billions, but a lot of the cities hosting it, they could actually finish in the red. The tournament is a money machine. The real question is whose pocket it fills. So let's follow the money. First, the number everyone's quoting FIFA, the organization that runs the World Cup, projects the tournament will add about $17 billion to U.S. output and support 185,000 jobs. And a lot of that activity is real. Fans fly in from all over the world. Hotels fill up, restaurants, bars, ride shares, jerseys, souvenirs, all of it sees a rush. Total spending tied to the event is projected at around $11 billion. That is a genuine wave of money. But a headline number is like the total at the bottom of a menu. It tells you the size of the bill, not who's paying it, and not who's collecting it. And one more catch on those jobs. A huge share of them are temporary. Security, hospitality, event staff, the kind that appear for a few weeks and then disappear when the stadiums empty out. And here's something the highlight reel skips. Even inside a host city, that wave doesn't lift everyone. The hotel across from the stadium, booked solid at triple the normal rate. The sports bar down the block, packed to the walls. But the quiet little restaurant 3 neighborhoods over can actually lose business. Why? Because the locals who normally eat out are staying home, dodging the traffic, the crowds, and the sky-high prices. Economists call that displacement. The spending doesn't just magically appear, it gets pulled toward the event and away from everywhere else. So, the city is booming and my shop is dead this month can both be true at the exact same time. So, who collects? Start at the very top. FIFA itself is expected to pull in around $8.9 billion from this one tournament, from broadcasting deals, sponsorships, and ticket sales. And here's the detail most people never hear. FIFA controls that revenue. The host cities mostly don't. Think about what a city actually provides. The stadium, the streets, the police, the transit, the cleanup crews. The money at the center of the spectacle flows up to FIFA, to the global sponsors, to the broadcasters. The bill for hosting the spectacle, that flows down, which brings us to the part your city's press release left out. Across the 11 U.S. host cities, the combined budget gap is projected to reach as much as $250 million. Security alone for an event this size is massive. Extra policing, extra transit, extra staffing, stadium upgrades, and a mountain of behind-the-scenes logistics. Much of that lands on local taxpayers. So you can end up with a strange split screen. The tournament in town is generating billions, while the city hosting it is writing a check it may never fully get back. The revenue and the costs simply don't sit in the same pocket. Okay, but is that the $17 billion at least a big win for the wider economy? Here's where a lot of economists raise an eyebrow. Analysts at Saxo Bank pointed out that even the optimistic projection is less than 0.1% of everything the U.S. economy produces in a year. Their take? Not a meaningful growth driver. And there's a deeper reason the boost is smaller than it looks. It's called the substitution effect. A lot of World Cup spending isn't brand new money. It's money that would have been spent somewhere else anyway. The family that splurges on match tickets skips its usual summer road trip. Locals avoid the packed downtown and stay home. So some of that new activity is really just activity moved from one street to another. Economists also warn the bump is short-lived. A few weeks of higher sales tax receipts, and then the city drifts right back to normal. And here's a pattern researchers see again and again. the glossy impact studies released before these events tend to overstate the benefits. And look, this isn't the first time we've watched this play out. Go back through past World Cups and Olympic Games, and the same pattern shows up over and over. The projections beforehand come in huge and glowing. Then, the final bill tends to land higher than promised, and the long-term payoff tends to land lower. Host after host has been left with shiny new stadiums, a big cleanup, and benefit numbers that quietly got revised down once the cameras left. Now, that doesn't mean these events aren't worth throwing. It just means the smart move is to read the projection and then wait for the actual receipts. So here's the real lesson, and it's much bigger than soccer. Mega events like this tend to concentrate the winnings and spread out the costs. Picture throwing a giant party at your house. The lemonade stand on the corner has its best day ever. The caterer gets rich. But you're the one who pays for the tent, the security, and the cleanup the next morning. That's the World Cup in miniature. The gains are real, but they pool at the top the global organizer, the sponsors, the broadcasters, and a handful of businesses right next to the action. The costs get spread across an entire city's taxpayers. You can even see the design in the tickets. For the first time, this World Cup used dynamic pricing, like airline fares that rise and fall with demand. Seats started around $60, and tickets to the final were projected to climb as high as $7,875. That's not a glitch. That's a system built to capture every last dollar a fan is willing to pay and send it straight to the top of the pyramid. Now, to be fair, because this isn't a hit piece, hosting the World Cup isn't worthless. A city gets put on the global stage in front of billions of viewers. Some of that attention turns into future tourism, future business, and a whole lot of local pride. A number of businesses genuinely do win. And for the fans in the stands, it's the memory of a lifetime. The honest answer isn't it's a scam. The honest answer is the benefits are real, but they're often smaller, more temporary, and more lopsided than the headline promises. So, back to our question. Where does all that money actually go? Up. The World Cup is absolutely making billions. That part of the headline is true. It's just that the economy and your city's budget are two very different bank accounts. The tournament can be a win for a country's image, for some businesses, and for millions of fans, and still leave the host city holding a bill. Both things are true at the same time. The flashy number was never the whole story. Now you know who's actually cashing the check. So I'm curious, is your city one of the 11 US hosts? Do you think it was worth it? Drop it in the comments. I read them. And if this changed how you'll read the next economic impact headline, hit subscribe. Because around here, we take the confusing money stuff and make it simple. One video at a time. I'm Mr. Moolah. I'll see you in the next one.